Okay, now high and low method with inflation. Now don't forget that I said cost estimation is to predict the future cost for management decision making. Now when you want to predict future cost, you need to also consider what? Inflation. Now inflation is the persistent rise in the price of goods and services. Is that not so? Now definitely, as you produce what you produce in the future, inflation will affect the what? The cost. Is that not so? Now, in this case, we will talk about the how you will separate your variable cost and your fixed cost with the effect of what? Inflation. Now, we will talk about first setup cost. Setup what? Cost. Now, setup cost is the abnormal increase in the fixed cost. It is not normal again. Now, why on 500 for instance for a factory? Suddenly, the landlord increase the rent to 5,000 or to 10,000, right? When you ask the landlord, "Oga, why?" he will say, "Oh, it is because of inflation. The price of things is increasing, while your own production still remain the same." Right? That is abnormal increase in what? In cost, in fixed cost. Now, with that, you need to consider inflation. So that is why we have what? Set up costs. Now we'll look at an illustration where we will effect a setup cost in separating our variable cost from our what? From our fixed costs. Now, illustration. I have here activity level of 17,000, activity level of 22,000, then the total cost under activity level of 17,000 is 140,000, while the other one is what? 170. Now, variable cost per unit is constant in this range of activity, and there is a step up. Sorry, it's not set up, it's step up. Step up costs. Step up costs of 5,000 in the total fixed cost. Now, what it means is that the total fixed cost, the variable cost per unit, will remain constant, while the total fixed cost, there will be a step up cost, which means it will increase, right? When activity level exceeds 18,000 units. So what it means is that in the future, when you have an output that is above 18,000, what it means is that your fixed cost will increase. There will be a step up cost of what? 5,000, right? So that means that you are affecting the inflation, the cost of inflation. Now, calculate the total cost at 17,500 units and 20,000 units respectively. Now, we want to effect the step-up cost in our fixed cost when your production or your levels of activity exceeds 18,000. So what it means is that in this question now, the levels of activity is 17,000, 22,000, while the total cost 140 and 170, and there is a step up cost when the activity level exceeds 18,000 units. So which means that if your activity level move from 17,000 units to 18,000 units, right, your costs your total fixed cost will increase to increase by what? By 5,000. Now, which means that we have to effect that 5,000 in the future costs, right? For management to make what? Decision. Now, in this case, first thing you need to do is to calculate your what? You do your high and low. Is that also your high and low, right? Now, in this case now, what do we have? We have A equals to highest cost first, highest cost minus lowest cost, right? Highest output minus lowest output, right? Highest output minus what? Lowest output. Now don't forget, we have to effect the inflation, the step up cost of how much? The step up cost of what? 5,000, right? Now in this case, right, it will actually affect this. Now how do we do that? Now A is, look at this total cost, right? Now what it means is that your fixed cost, in total fixed cost, your total cost from this 140, so once you produce more than 17, it will increase by 5,000, right? Which means that we are to add 5,000 naira to this, because from 140 to 22,000 units, we are adding 5,000 to the total cost, right? We are adding 5,000 naira to the what? To the total cost, because if it moves from 17 to 22. Now you need to effect the inflation cost of that 5,000 naira to this. Now because it will move from this to this, right? Now in this case now, you can have, what is the highest cost? The highest cost is 170, right? Minus the lowest cost. Don't forget that it will move from this to this. So when it's moving from 17,000 to 22, it has already exit 18, right? Which means that we have to add 5,000 naira to it, because they say there will be a what? A step up what? Cost if you produce above 18,000 what? Units. Now in this case now, you have produced above 18,000 units. Is that also? Now this is your lowest cost, right? Your lowest what? Cost 140. So it will be 140,000 plus, this is total cost. 140,000 plus the step up cost of 5,000 plus 5,000, right? Divided by highest output is 22,000 units, right? Minus lowest output of 17,000 units, right? So this will be A, which is your variable cost per unit, equals to 170 minus, this is 145,000, right? Divided by 17, 18, 19, okay, by 22. So we can have minus 17, this is 5,000 units. So A, which is the variable cost per unit, we can have 170 minus 145. So this is 25 divided by 5,000 units. So this is 5 naira per what? Per unit. So which means that your variable cost now will be what? 5 naira per unit, because you've effect the what? The set up what? Set up cost, right? Step up cost, right? Step up what? Cost. Now, if your variable cost per unit is this, don't forget the cost function. The function is y equals to A plus bx, right? A plus what? A plus bx, right? A plus what? A plus bx, because we need to get our what? Our fixed costs, right? Now, what is the total cost here? Now, for you to get this, for you to get your fixed cost, you use either highest cost or lowest cost. Now, highest cost, right? Highest cost and lowest, highest cost and highest output, right? Now, highest costs, which is highest cost. What is the highest cost here? 170 equals to A, because we need to get our what? Our fixed cost. A plus, what is the B? The variable cost per unit, which is 5 naira, times 5 naira per unit, please, times what is the highest output here, which is what? 22,000 units. 22,000 units. Don't forget that this is variable cost per unit per one. It will cost them 5 naira per unit. So if they are producing 22 units, what will be the total variable cost, right? So therefore, this we have 170 equals to A plus 22.5. This is 110, right? So we can have, this is 170,000 minus 110, right, equals to A. Therefore, A equals to 60,000 naira. 60,000 naira. So, and this is your fixed cost. Now, this is your what? Your fixed cost, because there is a step up cost of 5,000 naira on your fixed. It has reflected, because there is no how you want to add the 5,000 naira without going through this route, because for you to get, B is supposed to be B, why this is B, which is what? The variable cost per unit. So there is no how we will calculate the fixed cost. There is no how we will effect the step up cost of 5,000 naira without going through this route, right? Some students, right, we just quickly, they will not effect it from here. They will get to this place and add 5,000. That is what? Wrong, because your 5,000 naira will not affect your variable cost, of which it is an inflation. It's supposed to affect your variable cost per unit, your total variable cost as well, right? So that is why you need to start it this way, right? And I think that is all from this. No, okay. Calculate the total cost as 17,500 units and 20,000 units. So what will be the total cost? Don't forget that this is our cost function as A plus bx, right? When it is total cost, when it is at what? 17,500. So we have 17,500 units, right? Now, what will be the total cost? Don't forget that our A, let me quickly put this out. A is 5 naira per unit. A is 60,000 naira. B is 5 naira per unit. Right? So our X now is 17,500, because they say what will be the total cost. Now, Y equals to A is what? 60,000 plus B is 5 naira per unit times 17,500 units. Right? Don't forget that this times this will give you what? Your total variable cost. 5 times 17,500, 87,500. Y equals to 60,000 plus 87,500. Right? So Y equals to what will be the total cost now? Plus 60,000 So the total cost here is what? Is okay, 87,500 plus, that is 147,500, and this is what? The total cost. This is the total cost when the output is 17,500. So you can solve this. What is you can solve the next one that says that okay, that what will be the total cost when the output is what? 20,000 units. You can still use the same step because our A is given B. We've calculated the A, B. Just do it the same way as it is. Still on the High&Low method with inflation. This inflation, we will now talk about the price index. You know, price index is actually used to measure inflation as well, right? Now, next gen professional has recorded the following total costs during the last 5 years. So, in this question, we're given the output units from 2012 to 2016, the total cost from 2012 to 2016, as well as the average price level index. Don't forget that I said the price index is also used to measure what? Inflation. The average price index, level index from 2022, from 2012 to 2016 is given, required. First thing you need to do is that when a question is being given, what you need to do is that quickly look at the requirement. What is the required? Now, you can see that estimate the cost equation required. Estimate the cost equation expected in 2017 when the average price level index will be what? Will be 180. What is the what? The cost equation. Now, class, in this case, when the what will be what? 180. Now, in this case, don't forget that when you have an output, then you have total costs given in this question, then you have price index, right? Now, what is the relationship between the output and this, between these three? Class, the outputs, your levels of activity will depend largely on the cost, on the total cost. Because for you to produce 50,000 units, you have to incur some cost. So definitely your output will depend on your what? On your total costs. Now, which means that you have to adjust for inflation. That is, you know, they are talking about 2017, the future. It has to reflect what? The inflation. So which means that your output costs, the cost of your output needs to be adjusted for inflation if you are to produce that unit in the what? In the future. Class, am I communicating? Now, that is how it works. You can see that performance management it requires critical what? Thinking, and it's very simple, right? If you understand it this way. Right? Let me repeat. Okay, now let me continue first. Now, the first thing you need to do is that in this output, we're given from 2012 to 2016. First, from the output, what is the highest cost? The highest cost. Now, highest output, identify the highest output first. Alright? What is the highest output from the unit? The highest output is 135 units. 135. Right? Identify the lowest output. Lowest output. What is the lowest output? 90,000 units. So this 135 is in 2014, while this is in 2015. Now, having identified this, the costs of this need to be adjusted for inflation. The cost of this, because we want to predict for the what? For the future. Is that also the highest output and lowest output? Now the cost of this, for you to get the cost of producing 135 units in 2017, you need to adjust it to what? Inflation. You need to include inflation in that cost, right? That is why I say your output depend on your what? On your total costs incurred. Alright, now what in this now, what do we have? What is the, if we trace this in our question, 135 units in our question, what is the cost? The cost is 522,750. What is the cost? What is the cost here under the lower output is 504. Now, which means that we need to adjust this for inflation. That is, in the future, in 2070, when you want to produce the same thing, it will not be 522,750 again. Why? Because you need to add inflation. That is why we are given what? The price index class. Are we still together? Now, in this case now, what is the price index given? 180, right? That is the price index, the inflation, right? Is 180. Now, in this case, what do you have? You have to adjust for it, right? By saying that this is, you have to adjust for it. So it's 180, right? It's 180. So what is the price index for this? The price index of this is 123. What is the price index of this is what? 144, right? So therefore 522,750, right, which is the highest cost, right, will be, you adjust for it, right, and the price index now is 180, right? So it will be 180 times 180 divided by 123 will give us the cost inclusive of what? Inflation. Now the lowest cost from our output is 50400 times 180 divided by what? 120 divided by 144, right? Divided by what? 144, right? So we have 522,750 times 180 divided by 123. What do we have? We have 977,765. So what it means is that when you adjust for that inflation, this is what you what? This is what you will have, because you have considered inflation in the future. Now the same thing, 504 times 180 divided by 144. What do you have? You have 630. Right? Because you have considered what? Inflation. Luckily for us, the question did not say we should calculate the variable cost per unit as well as what? The fixed cost. So what the question says is that, okay, we should do the cost equation, which is the cost function. Now, what is the cost function? This is the cost function, right? Oh, we need to do that because we need to input our figure, right? This is the what? The cost function. We need to calculate our A, which is the fixed cost, then as well as what? B, which is the what? The variable cost, right? Now, B, you need to calculate B first. That is the first step, please. Which is B is variable cost per what? Unit. Now, B is highest output. What is the highest output? 135 unit. 135 units minus the lowest output is 90,000 units. Please add the units, please. Now, what is the highest here? What is the highest cost? What is the, sorry, we've adjusted for the highest cost. What is the highest cost now? 765 minus what is the lowest cost? 630, right? Oh, highest cost first. Sorry. Highest cost 765 minus lowest cost 630. Highest output 135 units minus 90 units. B equals to 765 minus 630. How about 135, 135, right? So this is 135, then we have 40,000 units. This is 40,000 units. So 135, so this gives 3 naira 375. You can do it as 3 naira per unit, 1 decimal, right? You can leave it as 1 decimal, 3 naira per what? Per unit. So this is your variable cost per unit, right?